Hello folks, welcome back to GingerLion's modded Minecraft Let's Play. This will be episode 24, and today I'm going to focus almost exclusively on blood magic. I've got a whole bunch of other things churning away, making things, making me happy, but we just finished building this blood altar, and so for me, the next step is to see what's next in the quest line. The quest line asks me to make a divination sigil. Right-click the sigil, tell you how much life essence is in the altar. Anywhere else will tell you how much is in the network. So we've got to figure out how to make a sigil. I don't need this on. I want the divination sigil. This requires a blank slate surrounded by glass with a blood orb in construction. And luckily there is NEI integration with blood magic. So 1,000 life points, which is, I think, 10 hearts, and 1 stone in an altar will make that. Oh, by the way, I did a little bit of work between episodes after getting that spawn thing, and I figured out some tricks. First of all, if the name of the spawn thing is in normal writing, not italics, it's valid. If it's in italics, it's not valid. You can look at the item ID, :61, and you will note that item 61 is Spawn Blaze. It's named Blizz. Named Spawn Blizz. It's a blaze named Spawn Blizz. This is a valid Spawn Ender Dragon egg, because if we come down here and check, Spawn Ender Dragon. This Spawn Chicken and Spawn Silverfish, both in italics. Why is that? Well, the Spawn Silverfish is... Spawn Chicken is actually Spawn Silverfish, and the Spawn Silverfish is actually Spawn Chicken, wherever the Spawn Chicken is. Here. No? Let's see. It's red and... Yeah, see? Spawn Chicken. It's called Spawn Silverfish. That's hidden. And the Jaded Cat is actually a wolf. And I've seen other people spawn it. It's a purple wolf, which makes a lot of sense, given that it's Jaded Cat. So, now, I want to... Actually, I'm going to toss all these back in my system, because I don't feel the need to play with them right now. And I want stone. Actually, I've got 4 right here. I'll just take one. Clear that out. So now, if you put the stone in the altar before you have blood in it, it won't process. If you put the stone in the altar before there is enough... and it runs out of blood before it completes the process, it also will be unhappy. So I'm going to do 10 hearts. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, and before this episode, I went and chugged a stack of carrot juices, actually, to give stack the well-fed buff to make sure that I would regen as fast as I naturally could. And there's no blood shown in the altar. Was I not close enough? That's a problem. Was I using the wrong thing? I was. Well, that brings up a problem. So, I went and got my various potions out of my chest and put them in my AE system. Just so that I could do that. I now have regeneration for 2 minutes. That's fine. Let's get myself up above 10 hearts. And why don't I dig the rest of my potions out while I'm at it. Potions of healing, 2 of those. Potion of regeneration. 2 alchemical potions of regeneration. 1 of instant health. And did I grab one of flight? Yep, I did. So there. I left my flight potions in there. So now I'm up above 10, and I'm still regenerating. So, make sure I use the right thing this time. I'm even going to take this and move it to the other end of my bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Should be enough. But I saw some of those as half hearts, so I'm going to put in an 11th. And I'm going to go ahead and put this stone in. Now, it's going to process and cook off 10 or 1,000 points as the recipe told us. We're making a blank slate. It's going to take 1,000 life points. And when it's done, it'll become that. Now, if this were a tier 2 altar, we want to get this out as quickly as possible, but it's not. So, now, I'm going to go through this ritual very quickly. I want a sigil, and it's the divination sigil. And I have, so for reference, this will never successfully appear in a crafting grid. It just won't, because it's not a thing that stacks. But now I have a divination sigil that, when I use it the first time, binds to me. And when I whack on the altar, it tells me that I have 2,000 life points with a capacity of 10,000 life points. But I happen to have right now almost full health, so there's 5 clicks. That's 3,000. That's 4,000. So it looks like I get 200 a click, which is good. I'm not regenerating anymore, but now my altar has quite a bunch of blood in it. That's good. I'm actually going to risk death one more time. Bring me up to a clean 5,000. So, the quest book allows me to get either one of these, and I think I'm going to go with the Greater Power Catalyst for now. Basically, these two allow you to later apply an effect to one of the blood magic potions to either make it more powerful or to make it last longer. They're relatively hard to make on their own, so they're pretty good quest rewards, especially at this point. Let me go ahead and actually let me get a... You know what? I want to know the chests. I would like to know, what can I do with a silver chest? I can upgrade it to a diamond just like that. Now, I'm going to dig down one spot right here, and I'm going to put a diamond chest in the floor. This will allow me to store purely my blood magic things anytime that I need to, like this Greater Power Catalyst, and hopefully it'll be large enough for it to, carry me for a while. That puts within reach almost all the things that I need to do crafting and to store items. That's pretty nice. Gonna eat this heart, am I? Yep, consume to get an extra life, good. And this is a greater reward bag. Blackberry juice and cherry juice. Okay, but not great. I'm going to agree with that. And I can't drink either of them right now. Let's put them in the system. Okay. Now, what's next on our quest line? The next item is either Blood Alchemy, which I'm going to hold off on for a while, or Altar Upgrades, which I care about quite a lot. So, I want to make a Blood Rune. Let's go check out the recipe. The Blood Rune recipe is 2 blank slates and some stone. So now I need to make 2 more blank slates. That's going to require 2,000 blood. So, let's grab ourselves 2 stone. And to note, interestingly enough, you can put multiple things in the altar, but you can't do it manually. Here's the trick. You place a hopper on the side of it. I can go ahead and throw in this, and as soon as it's ready, it'll feed it in. So let's go ahead and set up the recipe. Put in the first blank slate. Put in the second blank slate. And make ourselves blood rune. Now, in the future, we may have to make a lot of these, but by then we'll have reached a point where it's not quite so painful, as it were. So, now, I've completed this, and now I need to decide, augmented capacity would increase the amount of life that my altar could store. Sacrifice will mean that when I harm myself, I get more blood out of the deal. Speed runes, again, makes things move faster, and efficiency runes means that it's going to use less blood to do things. I think, for the moment, I'm going to go with an efficiency rune. So now I have 3 more runes, and I have 3 more places where runes need to go. You don't have to do anything specific with the blood rune, but it can be converted into a speed rune with 2 more blank slates, or into a spell table for magical construction later. So now let me see, is there anything else I can... Let me look at the other runes and take a look at the recipe. Self-sacrifice, Enderium, reinforced slates, things I can't make yet. Sacrifice, can't make yet. Efficiency, can't make yet. I could make this speed rune out of it. And I think rather than just putting it in my altar blank, I'm going to... Well, how much blood do I have left in here? I have 3,000. So let's go in here and get 2 stone. Toss them both in the hopper. It feeds both of them in, and they will both process simultaneously. Watch that tick down, and meanwhile, I'm going to eat this full heart and open up this greater reward bag. Got myself a nice set of shards, except that I already have, well, I might as well just put them in here. I've already got quite a lot of shards, because I set up a processing line to make them, rather than just waiting for quest rewards. So there are my 2 blank slates. So let's go ahead and set up the recipe for a speed rune. Put our 2 blank slates in, and a weak blood orb. Isn't that right? Oh, no, the blood rune, not the... Silly me. There we are. We now have a speed rune. So, rather than having just put in a blank rune, I'm going to put in a speed rune. That's kind of nice. So, I'm going to remove this green block, and let's put the speed rune right there. And remove these 2 green blocks. And I'm going to put in the efficiency runes there. And you'll notice nothing happens, but if you whack the side of the altar, it tells you that it is now a tier 2 altar instead of a tier 1 altar. It hasn't changed how much storage it has, because it won't. But it can now do things that it couldn't do before. Let's see. Now, the weak blood arm is not going to hold enough power to cast or craft more complex spells. Need to create a better one. Now I upgraded the altar. Good. Throwing a gold block into an altar with 30,000 life power, gathered from either yourself or others, will generate a magician's blood orb. Now, I could, at this point, begin trying to figure out how to sacrifice others. Actually, you know what? I want... Spawn. So, I want the one that claims it's silverfish. And cow, because I have enough cows now. And mushrooms, I have enough mushrooms. And sheep, I have enough sheep. So, let's get ourselves... What's going to make... Do I have... I have enough fence for the moment. So this is not necessary, but it is a good idea. Yeah, that should do. I think it's close enough. It has to be pretty close, by the way, to the altar for it to work. So let's check the divination sigil, and let's put one of these fake silverfish in there. Get out my sword. Now remember, I had 1,000. It wasn't close enough. Has to be closer than that. So let's go ahead and tear this fence down. I should probably get out my axe to do this, but I put it away somewhere else. So, I think what I'm going to do is set up my fence so that monsters can't get more than a block away from the altar, and hopefully that will be sufficient. As I said before, folks, I am just learning this mod myself, and so I'm not 100% sure, as I do each step, how it's going to work. Now, I'm going to have to stand up here, which feels a little inappropriate. There, I can stand right here. Now, not accepting chicken from spawn eggs, so let's try something else. Let's try a mushroom. I guess it's... Oh! I feel just a little bit silly. Where is it? Actually, I'll do it this way. Mod. Blood magic. I need to be using the Dagger of Sacrifice. And the Dagger of Sacrifice is made from the next level blood orb. So, I'm going to have to figure out how to do this myself. And, well, I guess that's just fine. So, what are we going to do? How are we going to get ourselves the required 30,000 life, given that this altar will only hold 10,000 life, and we ourselves, I only have so much life in me? Well, I guess what I'm going to have to do is abuse these potions of regeneration. This is 7 minutes of regeneration, and this is some instant health. So, the first smart thing to do, after emptying all the unnecessary stuff from my inventory, I have these potions here. This is regeneration. This is instant health 4. Why don't I start with these potions of instant health 2? And I need a block of gold. And the first smart thing to do is I'm not going to put this in until the altar is full. It's currently only got 1,000. So let's... Still only 200, so... Almost dead. Potion of healing. Get some regeneration going. Pump some more blood into the altar. Half full. More blood in the altar. $6,800. So now I've got a good solid regeneration going on. So now you see how I'm going to have to go about this. This is not going to be a particularly pleasant experience, but I'm basically going to, like I said, I'm going to fill the altar up to 10,000, and then I'm going to put the block of gold in, and then I'm going to continue sacrificing myself using this potion of instant health 4 and my regeneration in hopes that I can pump 2,000 more into the altar before it completes this process. 7,800, 82, 86, should be 94, yep, 96, 98, 100. This altar is now completely full, and you notice the blood pool comes up to the very surface. So I'm going to step off camera, let my regeneration fill me up, toss the gold block in, and bring you back once this is completed and I have my orb. Well, sometimes you just feel silly, folks. Turns out that it has to be in a tier 3 altar. After checking here, I found that out, and it looks like it's 25,000. Not 30,000. So that's good. So I basically just tossed 10 stone in here to soak up this 10 blood, and I'm going to convert them all into the necessary slates. Now, if I'm correct, reinforced slates can be used in the construction of lots of stuff, but I don't need them right now. So I'm going to show you something interesting. I want an impulse item duct. I want a servo. I want a chest. This iron one will do just fine for now. So I'm going to put this chest right... Actually, let's do it this way. I'm going to put the item duct on the outside of it. And put this chest here. I'm going to whack that to output. I'm going to put a servo in it. Now, these are 10 blank slates. Because this is a tier 2 altar, it's possible to process them past that into... In a tier 2 altar with 2,000 life points, they become reinforced slates. For the moment, I don't want reinforced slates. I like blank slates because they're going to allow me to build the things that I need. So I'm going to empty my hand, right-click on this, and tell it to whitelist blank slates, ignore redstone. And so now, when blank states are processed, they will immediately get sucked out and dumped into this chest, and I don't have to worry about them over-processing. So, now, I want to make myself... The only thing that I can make at the moment, I believe, are speed runes. Let's go and look again. Orb I don't have, orb I don't have, orb I don't have. That I can make. And the blood runes themselves I can make. And I think I'm just going to go with blood runes for the moment. So, I have 5. I need to do that. I have enough to make 5, so why don't I make those 5? Make this. Split these. Put this in place. Take those 5 runes. And take my orb. So now... I can remove these 5 and put these blood runes in their place. Now, these don't do anything to improve the quality of my altar. They don't make it more efficient. They don't make it faster. They don't make my sacrifices mean more. What they do, however, is allow me to expand this to level 3. At which point I can make a couple of the things that I need, including that better orb and the sword that will allow me to sacrifice other things as opposed to just myself. So I'm going to put 30 more stone in there and process them with 3,000 more life, and I'll be back once I finish that process. Okay, folks, so I have managed to complete that process. I used up another swig on my regeneration potion, and just was kind of patient and made myself enough runes You know, as my health is still recovering. Sort of, the entire time that I had that potion on, I made sure that I never let my health fill up completely, otherwise I felt I would have been wasting the potion. So now, we should have a tier 3 altar. Now note, these glowstone bricks are necessary. There need to be some solid bricks in these locations. They can be pretty much any solid brick. Any, as far as I know. So now that I have a tier 3 altar, we can make a couple of useful things. Let me go back to the blood magic collection. One of the things that I really, really want is to make this item. This is called the Ritual, this is the Ritual Diviner. It basically allows you to build rituals quickly and easily. Otherwise, you sort of have to do them by hand. But I'm going to have to make, let's see, a magma cream. That's easy. Obsidian. A gas tier. And a lapis lazuli block. Heck, why don't I get all of those right now? Let's see. Lapis lazuli block. This is going to cost me 4,000 more of my own blood, but I feel it's strongly worth it. Obsidian, which I went from 24k to 18k building my platform. A gas tier. And have I got any magma creams? I do. Got them out of a quest reward bag. I think there's also a recipe that's accessible to me for them. Let me make sure. Just for all of you. Yeah, any slime ball and a blaze powder, which you get from sifting. So, now, let's look in my altar. It's got 1,000, so I can start with the first one of these. I'll toss the gas tier in. Now, basically what these items are. Let me explain this to you very careful. Each one of these allow you to inscribe a ritual stone, which is made like this, around an apprentice blood orb, which I'm going to have to make. And if you combine all of them together, like this, and make this Ritual of the Full Spring, this Ritual Diviner Rod, you can then use to place new types of rituals without actually having to look them up and figure out how they get laid out. Instead, what you do is you place down a Master Ritual Stone, which you're gonna need anyway, and you, see, I wasn't paying attention. What am I at? I'm at 800, 2 more. And that will allow me to toss in my magma cream. So basically, and I'll show you this a little bit later, you place down your ritual stone and then you right-click it a bunch of times with the Ritual Diviner. Well, I seem to be using up less blood than yep, my efficiency runes are useful. Surprise, surprise. So now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I can toss in the lapis lazuli block. So, I have made it a habit of never actually using these individual. You can go and place down the stones in the world and in whatever organization you want, and then inscribe them with these elemental tools. It's, I don't know, it's a little frustrating. I'm going to use my 2-minute potion of regeneration. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come over here and toss in this obsidian. Empty my hand. There's this. Now, I'm just going to immediately turn them into one of these. I know it's costly. Let me just toss these and let it do it completely. But I never again have to hand place them. And hand placing for rituals is a monstrous pain. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just bring myself back down to 1 heart. No reason to let this regeneration potion go and not fill up my altar. Because now it's the time that I need to toss in that block of gold with 3,000 life points. And it'll be less than 3,000 life points because of the speed runes and efficiency runes. I wish I had more of those, but I'm going to hold off until I've built a ritual called the Well of Suffering. And I'm basically going to build that directly underneath my altar. And what that does is allows me to sacrifice. It automatically does damage to any creature inside the range of it, which is pretty large. And all of that blood ends up in the altar. And at that point, I'm going to build a spawner underneath this and never again have to sacrifice my own life into this. Now, I could take the time. How much is this going to cost? I'm going to make this dagger of sacrifice as soon as I have the apprentice blood orb, and then I'll dig out some more of those eggs, the spawn eggs, and use some of those. What have I got so far? 4,600. So, excuse me, folks, and I'll be right back once I've got the apprentice blood orb. Okay, folks, there is one magician's blood orb, which will allow me to make that sword. I believe I have to make an Invar sword for it. Let's just go ahead and do it this way. Now, note, this takes a 6-point damage sword and turns it into 1 attack damage sword. I think... Did I? No, this isn't high enough to do that. Did I skip a step? What's this? This is the apprentice blood orb. Yes, I skipped a step. I should have done this. How much do I have left in here? My health is full, and I can toss a couple more blood in there and grab an emerald. This is what I get by not thinking, but instead following, just doing what the quest book told me to do. So, I skipped a step, and it was a problem. You need all of the orbs, by the way, just for your reference. You'll notice I can't make this with the Magician's Blood Orb. Even though it's a higher level orb, I can't make it. I need this medium tier orb to do the job. I still got plenty of regeneration. Let's go ahead and pump everything I can in there. There's that blood orb. That will allow me to grab myself a dagger of sacrifice, which will mean basically that I can now sacrifice other things. So, let's get some examples. Spawn. Spawn is the word I looked to type, not this one. So, I want these silverfish, which are actually chickens. Let's see, what state is the altar in right now? Okay, so I need to make myself a bunch of ritual stones, which cost reinforced slates. So I'm going to start by clicking on this and turning it off. This is now off, right? No, high. There we go. Now it's off. So I'm going to grab some stone. I still got a couple of seconds of regeneration left, and I didn't want to waste it. So, I'm going to grab one stone, and I'm going to toss it in here, and I'm going to let it process through the first slate into the reinforced slate. You'll notice it immediately begins some more blood circles above it. And I'm going to empty my hand. Becomes a reinforced slate. Now, I want these reinforced slates. These can be used to produce the imbued slate, which are used to make a higher tier of items, but they're not what I want right now. I want enough of these to build a ritual. So, I'm going to remove this. I'm going to put this in its place. It's now whitelisted. Now it can ignore. And let me just look at the recipe for this again. It is 2,000 plus 1,000, so it needs a total of 3,000. That's got 55,000. I'm going to be able to put enough blood in to make 2 of these. There. So now they will process into the first slate, into the second slate, and immediately be pulled over here. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm going to grab myself this Dagger of Sacrifice and these spawn silverfish, which are, again, actually chicken. And, actually, I want to figure out exactly how much each one of these add to the altar. So I'll wait until these 2 slates have finished processing. Come on. Just a couple more seconds. Finished processing, instantly removed. So we have 830. If I take 1 chicken, kill it with this, we now have 1080. Okay. So I can stack the rest of these 9 chicken in there very easily. Come on, little chickens. That one is good and truly in there, isn't he? Well then. Looks like there's also one inside the altar. Come here. Not sure I'm going to gain the advantage of that kill. Yeah, there's one inside the altar. This is almost comedic. So let me check the state. 1330. It was more of a pain than it was worth by far. But let's see what other spawns we have available. And also, make sure nothing fell in the altar. Mushrooms are fine. Cows are fine. Sheep are fine. Pig is fine. Okay, so let me just get those handled. Grab that later. Not a huge gain here, but it's at least not my life points. Actually, while we're speaking of my life points. Okay. That all gained me just a little bit of health points that I didn't have to expend while I'm working on making these reinforced slates so that I can make the ritual stones that I need to begin working on my ritual. So what I'm going to do, by the way, folks, is I'm going to step off camera. I'm going to make enough ritual slates and enough ritual stones to make my master ritual stone and to make my my necessary ritual stones, and I'll come back when I show you my making of that ritual, which will save me a huge amount of time and pain in the future. So I'll be back in just a minute, folks. Oh, unfortunately, folks, I just figured out that I'm missing an important piece of this equation, which is this. Just a moment, I'll show you. If I want to do the ritual of the Well of Suffering, I'm going to go back all the way around the circle. If I want to do the Well of Suffering, I need, if you'll note down at the bottom, 4 dusk stones. To make dusk stones, I need to make, where are the inks? No, they're right. Okay, there they are. So, where is the dusk ink? Well, I can find it this way. Bing. So, here is the elemental inscription tool, Dusk. To make that, I have to toss a block of coal in a tier 4 altar. It doesn't seem like a big deal. I can just make some more runes, right? Well, unfortunately, the tier 4 altar requires an item on the top of each one of these pedestals. It requires a bloodstone brick. It gets a lot of them, right? But where do I get the weak blood shard? Unfortunately, I have to make another weapon, and then I have to go and kill hostile mobs with it. And to make that weapon, I have to do a different ritual. So, I'm going to do the ritual of... Where is it? The ritual of binding, and I just went right past it. There. No. Ritual of binding, which is going to take me 28 ritual stones in total. 24 to do it, and 4 more to make the Master Ritual Stone, which requires the Magician's Blood Orb that I have. So, I am going to spend a bit of a while. I'm probably going to use up my regeneration potion, and I'm going to make myself the number of slates that I need, which is 28. So, I'll be back in a little while once I have 28 of those to show you the first ritual that I want to do for this mod. Well, folks, I finally completed it. I also took some time in between because it helped me quite a lot to set up these runes of self-sacrifice. I now get quite a lot more blood from each one of my sacrifices, and I took the time to make the runes necessary to make this a tier 4 altar once I get the blood bricks. So, those are all laid out and set up. That was quite a while's work, but wanted to get it done so that when we can make the altar, we will. So, now, I want to set up a ritual, and I think I want it away from animals and whatnot because it's likely to draw lightning. In fact, basically it's guaranteed to draw lightning. Let's go ahead and knock down some torches here, just to make sure we have a large enough area to work with. And I'll show you how you can set up rituals. Now, I already showed you that with the diviner, all you do is shift right click to change which ritual it's at. So now I want to set up the actual ritual. What I do is I place the Master Ritual Stone down. I have the ritual stones in my inventory, and I just right-click repeatedly on the Master Ritual Stone. And when it stops, it's done. I've now placed all of the blocks necessary to this ritual. So, I'm going to square it all off with this clay. There's the basics. So now, this ritual of binding, allows you to alter, to assemble things together. Now, in this particular case, what it's going to do is it's going to bind a sword to me, which is going to allow it, when I use it, to create those runes, those blood shards that I was looking for. Let me put down enough torches to make sure this whole area is secure. Now, I need to go and get a couple of things before I can finish this off. This is complete. This will operate the ritual. However, I need the activation crystal. Yep, this is a weak activation crystal. It's created by putting a lava crystal in with 10,000 points, which is made like this. So I need to make myself some fluxed electrum, which is made by fluxed electrum blend and pyrotheum, which is made by infusing electrum blend with destabilized redstone. It's been a while, so I probably have plenty of redstone. So let me go run through that entire process, because there are several other items in this mod that require fluxed electrum. So I better set up a process by which it sort of automatically is produced. And I'll be back once I have that set up to walk through the process and make the sword that I need and the activation crystal. Be right back, folks. So, after a bit of work, it turns out that I'm not going to be able to easily make this automated, mostly because this electrum blend is made by combining silver and gold dust, both of which I automatically export to my furnaces for smelting. So, I disabled my furnaces for a short period of time, and I have made myself a stack of electrum blend. Now, to add enough redstone to that, to flux it, to make it fluxed electrum blend, is going to require that I put 2 stacks of redstone in to be smelted. So, let me go ahead and toss this in here, and it will begin transposing 2 redstone apiece into these and pumping them into my system. So, I just wanted to show you this process and show you that I've decided to make a whole bunch of it, because there's a lot of neat uses for fluxed electrum. I can make myself several of these flux infused tools, which I would really like, along with the lava crystal that I need, and later on runes of augmented capacity and the rune of sacrifice, which I'm going to make quite a lot of. So I may make more than 2 stacks. I may make 4 or 5 stacks of fluxed electrum. So I'll be back once I have that done. So, got a whole bunch of pyrotheum made and got a whole bunch of fluxed electrum. So here's my next step. Took this induction furnace, which I'm basically using for nothing except manual processes right now. The only real recipes in it are hardened glass and enderium. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed fluxed electrum in one side and pyrotheum in the other, and just let that automatically cook up. I made enough that I think I should be able to make a stack and a half or 2 stacks of those the sacrifice runes, which I would very much like to have. So there you go, and here is the automating of that process. I'll be back once I have enough of it to make the crystal that I need, which, yeah. Okay, so I have the lava crystal made. This is neat in that you can toss it into a vanilla furnace or any other device that cooks, and it will act like coal, except that it'll draw blood from your blood network to power it. I have no actual interest in using it that way, but if you toss it in here with 10,000 blood, which there wasn't at the beginning, but once we've gone down 1,000, I'll toss one more heart in. Now a heart is almost 1,000 blood. It's a very nice change from the original 200. It was worth it for me to make all of these runes of self-sacrifice. Even though my intent is to stop using self-sacrifice very, very soon. Okay. And there is the weak activation crystal. That's necessary for activating any ritual. Now, there's another thing that I need to do. You'll notice my Essence network has 2800 LP in it. Well, I would really like it to have a lot more than that, because I'm about to begin using a weapon that's going to draw its power from the network. So, the way you dump power into the network is by putting a blood orb in the altar. And it'll just suck up any blood that's there and pass it on into the network. And if there's no blood, it'll just sit there. All is well. So, I'm going to go ahead and spend just a little bit more time before we move on to our next step, pouring blood into this altar and letting it get fed into the network. So, I'll be back in just a little bit. There we go. I left the altar mostly full, and the Magician's Orb is going to keep sucking it up. We're over 40,000, so I think that's pretty good. I don't know how much of this ritual or this sword is going to cost me, so let's go find out. Never played with this particular piece before. I'm sure everything in this ritual costs blood, so I'm sure it's gonna. Let's see. So the first thing that you do is you smack the Master Ritual Stone with your activation crystal. And since I want to know how much blood this is going to cost me, right click and activate. Oh, I have to bind this to me before I can use it. There we go. Okay, so not too much. And the next thing that I'm going to do is, now that the ritual is active, if you throw a diamond sword into the middle of that, it will, obviously lightning will begin striking everywhere. Anyone who wants to get struck by lightning, here's your chance. And here's a bound blade. Now, the bound blade uses blood when it's active. So I'm at 42,870. Let me activate, shift right click, activates it. I guess even when it's active, it doesn't necessarily use up any blood. But now it's time for me to go and kill a mob or two. Now I think I might... Well, I've got good armor on right now, and these mobs aren't going to be like the nether mobs. They're not going to be pleasant, but they're not going to be horrible either. Let's see what happens if I... Where would I poke a hole? Make this easy. Let's do it right over here. Come on, you guys can probably see me now. So you'll notice... Oop. Oh, that was scary. When I whack mobs with this sword, they begin showing above them a wither-like effect. And sometimes, obviously, they drop blood shards. I now have one. I think I'd like a couple more. Now, they have to be showing that effect over their heads for their death to possibly drop a blood shard. It's not the killing them with this sword. How much blood have I used up? Not too much. Good. I now have 2. My health is okay. My armor's pretty okay. So it's possible that if I whack some of these with a sword, and then they get killed by the grinder, that I will also pick up blood shards. So I'll go check the blood shard thing up above when I'm done with this little adventure. I'm going to go take the... Oh, shoot. I don't have any stones right now to block this up with. How did that happen? Because I didn't think first. Let me get out of here, knowing that I'm probably going to need to fight my way back in. Get some stuff out of my hotbar that isn't necessary to be there. And grab myself some of my border stone. I have 3 blood shards, and I wanted to check over here to see what my blood shard situation. Nope, nothing came up here. So, sword in hand, back downstairs. Nothing outside. Good. Five blood shards. It's not a bad haul so far. I think I'm going to block this up now. Yeah. Not bad. 6 blood shards. That'll get part of what I need done. Wrong elevator. One more check. Everything's good here. Can drop black off these blocks. And I can deactivate my sword. Now if I swing it at things, it does basically nothing. And it costs me no blood. So, now, I have that blood shard, and what was it? Oh yes, blood brick. I need 1 stone, 1 weak blood shard, and hopefully... Let's see, toss this up here. That I'm going to delete. This. Don't need. Okay, now. 1 and 1. Now, I think that just this brick, just as it is, though I'm not sure if it's bloodstone brick or large bloodstone brick that I need to place. So, just a second, and let me go check that out. It is large bloodstone brick that needs to be placed up there. I'm going to have to climb up, so I just said I was going to delete this. Get that done with. And I need something to pillar up upon. I tend to use stone, since I have a pickaxe that has silk touch on it. Okay, so now remove this, replace it here. Place that there. Here, and 1 more. And then we will have ourselves a tier 4 altar. And all of the runes that I went through all the work of creating and placing will then affect that altar. So, let me grab out my divination sigil. And it is now a tier 4 altar, which will allow me to make this dusk. I need 2,000 life points and a block of coal. So let's start by getting my orb out of there. Emptying my hotbar, things that I don't want to carry right now. Dropping off some things that I don't need. I'm going to put these bloodstone bricks in here because they are tied exclusively to this mod. And these blood shards because I don't need them quite yet. And I want coal. That's a block of charcoal. I want a block of coal. So now, this altar has no life points in it right now. I would like this divination sigil to prove it. 0. one click of the sacrificial orb, 900. Two more, there's 2700. Let's do it one more time. Toss this block of coal in, and it immediately processes. That's because I converted all of my blank runes into speed runes, and it runs much faster. I didn't have another use for them, so I used them. And 1600 remain. Now, what's the step that I need to do? I need some demonic slates, which are imbued slates, which are... okay. So, I need a lot of blood in an altar. That's full. And I need to shut off this. And I just need to make sure that I know what it is that I'm looking for. Demonic slate, it'll be the one after the red one. So, grab some stone, toss it in. I'm going to need two, but I'm going to do them one at a time so that I can see what's going on and see how much blood it uses. Oh, oops. Turn it off. And I could use one of those slates that I've got left over, but no need. There's the first process. And the second process, which you guys have seen before. Now, here comes the third one, into a demonic slate. And the fourth processing, which needs more blood. Oop. Let me get that out of there, because I don't have enough life to take that any further. Let's see what I have for potions. I have flight potions left. I have nothing that will gain me health. So, I'll be back once my natural health is regenerated. Okay, so the altar is up to 99 blood in it. I'm back up to full, so I'm going to toss the imbued slate in. And... I just barely had enough to make that. So, I'm going to make the other one of these, and I'll be right back. Hello again. Now, I've managed those, and I made ritual stones while I was at it. So, let's go ahead and make the... upgrade the divination tool. Now, I don't know what its full actual name is, because it's hidden. So... let's put this recipe in. Oh, I need two of these inscription tools, so let's get myself another block of coal. I need coal. That was a quick and easy process on camera, and I have enough health to ensure that it goes correctly. There it is. Now, I need two slates. One here, one here. I need two of these, which do not stack, like so. And to upgrade this. Now you'll note it says on it, used to explore new types of rituals, cannot place dusk stones. Place it in here. Oh, above? No, yep, I've got these backwards. Not shapeless, clearly. This one can place dusk stones. And that's very important to me. Now, I'm going to... you know what? I'm not 100% sure what the placement of all of the pieces of this ritual that I'm about to place are going to be, because, again, I do it by using the divining rod. So I'm going to collect all the stuff that I have in here, And all of these unnecessary bricks, because I'm almost 100% sure that the ritual is going to place bricks up into some of these spaces. So I'm bringing the altar back down to its bare minimum requirements to be this level of altar. But I don't like there to be torch problems, so let's fix that. Now, this ritual was designed to snuggle up underneath an altar. After all, its purpose is to provide blood to an altar, so its design is one that fits. Now, let me collect all the stuff I dropped. Now, I intend to place it, let's just do it 2 under, because I want it to make sure everything fits. Let me place that there. I'm going to place the Master Ritual Stone here. And I'm going to begin whacking on it, but that's set on Ritual the full spring. That's not what I want. Well of Suffering. And just begin right-clicking. And it's going to, like I said, place all of the ritual stones until it stops swinging. See? Stop swinging. All of these ritual stones are theoretically in place and should work. Notice that I'm speaking in, hopeful terms, not in 100% sure terms. This is where I start to not be 100% sure how everything works or is going to work. But I'm pretty sure I got it right. Now, let me remove this block because it's unnecessary. So is that one for that matter. And I'm going to whack this with my weak activation crystal. There's something not in place. Or maybe I'm in the way? No. Okay, so something is not placed like it needs to be. Let me look around, and see if I can figure out what it is. All of those, all of those. Did I run out of ritual stones? No, I still have spares. Everything should be symmetrical, and everything should look nice and clean. Everything seems to be symmetrical. Well, let me head up one more time. Now, let me count the runes. I'll be right back, folks. As usual, it wasn't until I tore the entire thing down that I went and did the research necessary to figure it out. So, here's the deal. It takes 50,000 blood in your essence network to initiate this ritual. If you don't have it, it just won't go. So, now, I tore it all down, so I'm going to replace it all. Okay, it stopped. I now have 2 ritual stones on me. That's exactly what I should have in this circumstance. I made 2 extra. And I want to be able to see above this when I trigger it. Now also, I would really like to be able to be sure that no mobs are going to spawn right here. But once I put that block back in, everything will be fine. Okay, no concerns. So, I'm going to hit this. There are the spirals that indicate it's done, and I now have much less blood in my network. Well, hopefully that's fine, because I should not need blood in my network ever again. Well, sorry, I should not need to stab myself ever again for blood. That's a better way of putting it. Okay, so that's all built. I'm going to go back and reassemble my altar. And then I'm going to come and install myself another Cursed Earth mob spawner. But because of the differing situation, I have to handle it just a little bit differently than the one down below. Because I now have no machine that's going to collect the mob drops for me. So I'm going to have to build one. But that's easy. We've already played with vacuum hoppers before, so I'm basically just going to set up a vacuum hopper feeding into my AE system, and so anything that gets killed down here should hopefully drop the drop all the things that it's supposed to drop, which is always nice. Does that work? Yes, it does. It removes the X that I was worried about. You know what? That has an X on it. But, hey, I can put a block on top of it. I removed the block exclusively for the purposes of being able to see when that happened. See when the red spirals came up indicating that it had successfully built the ritual stone. So, that leaves the ritual sticking up a little bit. I actually kind of like the look of it. I could have put it one down and only had this stone sticking out, but I actually think it adds to the look of the altar a little bit to have the ritual stone sticking out like that. So, I'm going to step off camera and set up the mob trap, and when it's done, I'll bring you back and show you this process running all on its own, basically. Okay folks, I know I'm running real long, but I wanted to show you the mob trap and how it solves all of the problems I've been having with this mod. So, with the Blood Magic mod. So, basically, these are just simply vacuum hoppers on import buses. That's Cursed Earth. It'll spread to this dirt. I've got glowstone illuminators connected by this, redneck cable. You've seen it before. I had to put a piece of dark glass behind here because there's a torch there. When I pull that, everything is dark enough in there to spawn. And the Cursed Earth should begin doing its job now. But nothing's spawning yet. There we go. Now you notice that spider's being hurt? Every time it's being hurt, that's feeding blood into my altar up above. Now, I'll be able to greatly increase the amount of blood that they deliver. Ooh, I left a whole bunch of untorched area up here that I better fix. Now, I'll be able to, by creating runes of sacrifice, I'll be able to fill in all of these edges, all of these sections, with runes of sacrifice, which will produce more blood. But as you see, there's blood being produced right now. Let me pull my divination sigil and you can see. Looks like it's only 10 every second or so, but that's free. That's not, I didn't have to go out and hunt any of that down. I didn't have to do any work for it. I just have to stand here and let the game hand me mobs. So, I'm going to wrap this episode up here. In between episodes, I'm going to change those to runes of sacrifice using the blood that I now have available, and I will see you guys next time.